Hello, right back into it with the very last and very short chapter of the book, chapter 21. It appears that the book at this point is old enough to have a drink. I won't join it. All right, chapter 21, the days to come. The ideas I have put forward in the preceding chapter are by no means the nebulous and rosy visions of an idealistic dreamer. For the most part, they are originally not even my own ideas, but have been propounded by men who are more competent than I am to understand the dilemmas which face us in the Arctic. And fortunately, I have the proof that these ideas are not only realistic, but can be implemented readily enough if we sincerely wish to see them realized. I can tell you of a place where all I have asked for the natives of the Arctic has already been granted to the Eskimo people, to an Eskimo people. This place is Greenland, the far eastern outpost of the Inuit, where the Danish government has for many years followed an enlightened policy of native administration, a policy which pitilessly exposes our blundering efforts for the thin shams they are. Two connections to Donald Trump I see there, where he wanted to buy Greenland and got ridiculed for it, and also how often the Republican Party wants to villainize countries that are socialist, such as those Nordic countries like Denmark and Sweden and Norway and Finland. So it's not surprising that country that they want to be demonized in that way. Of course, they don't want to demonize it because they love the white people, the white blonde people. But a country, an enlightened country like that, its socialist tendencies would be very well suited to supporting natives. In Greenland today, there are no people called Eskimos. There are only Greenlanders. Some carry pure Eskimo blood in their veins, some carry a mixture, and some are of pure Danish blood. But all are of one people. In that land, there are men of Eskimo stock who teach in schoolrooms built for the children of all bloods. Native Greenlanders not only teach and are taught, but no limits are imposed upon their education. It is quite possible for a pure-blood Eskimo to pass through the Greenland school system and then go to Denmark at government expense to complete his education in a university. When such men return to Greenland, they become the teachers of those who remain at home, and in this way the gap between the ancient past and our times is quickly bridged. And it is worthwhile at this point to explode the carefully perpetuated fallacy that if we tried to bring the Eskimos south to our schools, they would all contract our diseases and die. It does not happen in Denmark, nor has it happened in North America when the Eskimo travelers were healthy to begin with. The descendants of men who speared seals on the ice packs of Baffin Bay now not only teach in schools, but take an important and increasing part in industry, not as brute labor, but as men of equal stature with all other men. They operate a large, efficient, and lucrative fishing industry. They help operate the intricate scientific apparatus of weather stations. They assist in the operation of the trading posts, which are all government-owned and operated, and which deal with the people at no greater profit than is required to maintain the service. In effect, the Greenlanders now own their own economy, though it is supervised by Danish administrators and will be until the native people have reached the point where they can take over full control. The Greenlanders are rigidly protected from the commercial exploitation, which has a stranglehold on our Arctic regions. The type of white men who know how easy it is to make a rich living from the heart's blood of a primitive race are forbidden to enter Greenland, and they have no power there. Must be nice. Not surprising that one of the great ice sheets in the world that needs to not melt in the face of climate change is being controlled by a country that makes sure that such interests as the global fossil fuel industry has no power there. Natural food sources are protected with sane laws that are enforced, and it is seldom indeed that starvation comes even to the most remote areas inhabited by Greenland Eskimos. When a bad season or other accident brings hard times, the administration acts at once and with full strength, nor does it wait to be shamed or frightened into action. As in our part of the Arctic, much of occupied Greenland is of a nature that is inimical to its habitation by Europeans, but the Greenlanders are a part of their land, for they possess the physical and mental heritages of the Eskimo, who long since learned how to live and prosper in that inhospitable region. Now, as a result, the Greenlanders are a race who can live in their own land and be happy there. They may well have something to contribute to the rest of the world in these sick times and in the times which lie ahead. And let me make this point clear. Greenland natives are not serfs to white men's economic greed. They are not government wards, the voteless encumbrances of politicians. Instead, they are a new people of increasing vigor, strength, and understanding, because one innate humane white race saw far into the future. The Eskimos of Greenland now belong to that future, and the future belongs to them. So you see, it can be done. The Canadian Arctic is, today, a virgin wilderness with its chief resources still buried under ice and glacial rocks. The time is coming when this will no longer be true. The time is coming when, as the Russians already have done, we will be living, working, and enriching ourselves in the sole frontier area which remains to us. It will not be casual exploitation of surface resources as it is now. It will be a long-term development. When that time comes, and it cannot be far distant, consider the advantages to us of having a population in being throughout the bleak Northlands. The Eskimos could be such a people. They could be most helpful partners, for they have the intelligence and ability, and they alone can live and work in their bleak world without serious discomfort and without needing the costly shields which should have to erect about white men in the same situation. We should have to erect. Freed of the incubus which we have laid upon them, the Eskimos could become as valuable citizens of this world as we ourselves are. Yeah, that's a naive and somewhat old school complete belief that we are valuable citizens of the world. Yeah. The future of the Eskimos need no longer be limited to the barren rocks of their own land. The terrible days of the Mowat could be put out of men's minds, and in many places, and even along the river of men, new voices would be raised, and living laughter where now only the voices of the forgotten ghosts are heard. All this can happen, and if it comes to pass, it will be to our gain. As for Enoti, the 1-year-old son of Utek, shall it come to pass in the winters which still stretch ahead, there may be no need for him to place his children under the dark snows because there is no food for them? Shall it come to pass that Enoti's mother may rest secure in the knowledge that she will never be called upon to walk into the midward tonight and not return, so that Enoti's children may live for a little longer under the cold dome of the igloo? In the days of Enoti, the sun, the strength of a great people, might be made to live once more. In time it would be our strength, and the people would be our people. And then the dark stain, which is the color of blood, might at last be wiped from the record of the Kablunet in the place of the river of men. The subsequent story of the Hamlet from 1949 until 1958 is recorded in the sequel to this book, The Desert People, published in 1959. It also records what is known of their history from the time of their first discovery by the white men in 1893 until the period dealt with the people of the deer. Crazy typo, crazy misspeaking for me to have for the very last word in the book. Mispronounce deer as beer. My apologies. But strange. I didn't think the older copy of the book that I read, there's more in the final chapter. I wonder if they removed it on purpose. It's I referred to it at the beginning of the chapter. It's a chapter where Mowat is hypothesizing that the Inuit could be used as native rangers to defend against the encroachment of the Soviet Union through the north. But that is not a part of this new Kindle version. Huh. Anyway, separate from that, I really should pick up a copy of The Desperate People. I've never read that. But I truly should. And, oh, here's an end note. The name Kakumi is a pseudonym for a man whose real name was Pomela and who died in 1958, as described in the sequel to this book, The Desperate People. Another note. Ankuni on current maps. I have used the original Eskimo version of the name. Another note. Details are recorded in The Desperate People. Now it kicks me back to Goodreads. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.